give that after we give the left side stance. The stance is exactly the same on the right and the left. So all you're going to do, take your left side stance, put the right side of your body forward. It's just one simple step, but it should mirror on the other side. The tendency is, though, that sounds really simple, and it is really simple. The tendency for folks is to step into a line when they're on the right side. So the problem is you want to step as if you're on rails. So if you look at the floorboards, you just step straight back and let the front foot pivot. Or the back foot, depending on whether you're stepping front or backward. Just pivots on the ball. It should be a very simple little step. But you should see this position is basically Fiore's Porta de Ferro position for wrestling. And so you can wrestle from either side. The cool thing about this is that if I'm wrestling or something, wrestle where I am, and I'm going to be doing any sort of maneuver here, if I do any sort of throw, I'm going to go along this and step forward. If I do any sort of throw, all I would do to finish this throw, just to go ahead and step out of it, is go to Porta de Ferro on the other side. So that Porta de Ferro position, you'll notice also, if you can read the Italian, Porta de Ferro is the first one he gives for the sword. It's also the first line position here. So we're going to be using it both on the right and the left. He's also uses the same position with a dagger, with single sword, and everything else. This Porta de Ferro position is his core place. Porta de Ferro stands for Iron Gate. Technically, it's Tuta Porta de Ferro, the complete Iron Gate. That doesn't really sound right in English, so we usually just shorten it up to Porta de Ferro. Yeah. So let's try our left side stance. Now you should feel in the left side stance, it's my left hip. Really what you're doing when you change sides from that is you're doing a turn, a mezzo volte, a half turn. We'll get into that in a second, but what you've done is you've changed which side your power is chambered on. Over here, I can fire on this side. If this side's forward, and assuming that I've rotated my hips, it's on this side. The back hip is the one where the power is generated from. So what you've done when you change sides like this is you change which side you're fighting on. It is certainly possible to step without that and keep this side going, but that's for in a moment. Right now, just keep our hips here and just make one little step so that you're fighting on the left-hand position. Like I said, the tendency is to step either too wide or in a line. Very, very common. Don't think you're being slow if you do it, because most people do it. But try to avoid it. Something I'll come around and we'll check it quickly, but it's going to be something that you're going to have to work on out of class, because you need to be able to have this capability overall. Secondly, while you're doing that, for the most part, the stance is in the center. The tower, the upper body, is straight up and down. It remains straight up and down. You don't want to lean in any direction. We talked about that, especially not forward, because your head goes into the fight. But when you're doing all of these things, your body stays upright. It is the tower on the elephant's back. The lower part of your body is actually the elephant. So as you stand in these things, for the most part, the weight is centered. There is a front variant and a back variant on the stances, but don't worry about that yet. Right now, just try to always default to center. There's a weakness to the front stance and a weakness to the back stance. You gain a few things too, but generally speaking, your core should be here. And then you move it around for specific tactical moments. If you do move it around, this front knee should not go over the ball of your foot. If it goes that far, then you can be pulled forward or whatever technique. You cannot get back in time. So think of, you're fighting against the sharp blade, you do not want to overcommit into the fight. So you want to stay in there. If you're stepping and you find that you do want to bring this leg over to get, then you probably need a little bit bigger step, or a couple of smaller steps to do that same action. Right now, let's take the stance on the left, work between the left and the right. That's good. Just make it smooth. It sounds complicated. What it really is just a very simple, natural step. The only thing that isn't natural about it is people tend to either make big, wide circles, which we don't do. It's just as straight pretty much as you can get to the place. And they tend to go in a line. So